Hey Flosstube, that's Sarah.
And that's Julie.
And we're Gulf Coast Stitches. We're back for another video. So if you just watched our last video, you may notice something different.
We chopped.
We chopped. And we don't know how to get different haircuts from each other.
No, we always have the same
haircut. So we have been in quarantine. Today is April 1st, and Governor DeSantis, the governor of Florida, has done the 30-day shelter in place, which I'm blessed to get to work from home both with the shop and with my job at the college. And Sarah is out for the rest of the semester, so here we are. And we got a few things to show you. You may hear Dan because we're outside because it is
beautiful.
A beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
So he's banging around that way. If you see somebody come...
It's not Bigfoot.
No.
It's Dan.
It's just Dan. Speaking of Dan, hey Julie. Julie Reflections Framing. Reflection Stitches. Julie from Reflections. We loved your video with you and Dan the Man. Because I got a Dan the Man too, and it's pretty funny. Although he's not Dan the Man, the Myth, the Dragon, like yours is.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was great. I hope we see more of him. So thank you for sharing him with us for a little bit. My Dan doesn't have anything to contribute to the stitching world, but we're thinking about having him build a little accessory situation. So more to come on that later. If he needs a quarantine activity, we got stuff planned for him. Okay, so what are we going to start with?
Do you want to do your whip last or first?
I hear Dan right now.
Yeah.
We just said they might see you.
It's all right. You can walk by if you want.
We warned them that they might see a Dan presence.
He's camera shy.
He's probably going to he's going to scare us or something.
He's going to run around that way, probably.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so I guess I'll start with my whip. I've only had one whip. When I was at market, I alluded to this the last video. I don't think I showed the progress.
I think you
Did you just see that?
Oh.
Dolphins are literally right here, guys. I wish we could turn you around. Wait, we have to wait. Oh my gosh. I wish... Show them.
You probably won't be able to see, but maybe you can.
Yes,
I don't know.
Can. Right there they are. Point it more towards the palm tree.
I think it is.
Let me see. I'll come out there and see. Let me see if they can see. Oh yeah, they can see.
Come on, dolphins.
Step down there and a little bit. Sorry about the seasickness, but they're feeding right there. Look.
Welcome to the Panhandle.
This is how we quarantine.
I don't know if
Look at them.
they are freaking huge. Dan, are you seeing this?
He's not paying no attention.
Wow. I hope y'all can see. We're using the computer camera.
You're really showing just that.
Oh
right
God.
now.
Okay.
It's okay.
Well,
Trust us.
I hope y'all got. Well, if anything.
Oh look, there's some geese too.
Oh yeah, and some Canadian geese. Well,
There
that was
goes the
exciting.
dolphins right there.
They're going behind the dock now. Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, hi. Wait,
Okay,
hold
I think we're.
Hold on, go back a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about the motion sickness, but it's totally worth it. I don't know if y'all can y'all see the geese? Oh yeah, they can see the geese. And the dolphin are just on the other side of that, broken down.
Oh yeah,
There they go. They're in the shallows, which is just awesome. Okay. We're gonna give you some motion sickness.
Intermission.
I don't know.
Wow.
If I can get my train of thought back.
Okay, well,
Sorry if we screamed in your ear.
we'll put a disclaimer on the description box.
Scooch in a little bit.
Okay, now y'all got to see
Whoop.
us. Whoa.
I like the foul, but it's fine.
Okay.
That was exciting stuff. Okay.
All right.
Let's try this again.
So when she was
What were we
at
talking
market,
about? Okay, so when I was at market, my favorite sampler, everything was amazing, as y'all know, but I talked about this one. This is Maria Futter Appleton 1831, and it's from GPA, which is Giulia Punti Antici from Italy, and she's a physician in Italy, and I just pray she's well, because she was delightful. So that's the antique. This is what her reproduction looked like.
stunning.
And I'm stitching this 1/2 on 40 count cream linen. this is how far I've gotten. Each one of those berries is 100 stitches.
Let that sink in.
Let that sink in. There are 15 down and 16 across. So whatever math that is. You want to hold those up to my window? So there's the beautiful colors. We're not as good at this as Nicole's needlework is, but we all aspire to that. But anyway, that's my one sole monogamous whip. I cannot stop stitching on this. I stitch a few berries every night. That's about as far as I get. But I love it.
It's good. And now you have the berries memorized.
I do. I have the outside memorized. Now, I will say, I'm going to show you this one more time. This, these little leaf Dumaflotchies are fussy. So that's why I've only gotten to right
And
there.
what about this letter? Why do you only have one letter?
So those are Algerian eyelets over 4 stitches on 40 count. So each one of them, I don't know,
16
like
punches,
16 or something. I don't know. It's a lot. Let me just show you. I'll show you one more thing. I'm going to show you the diagram on how you do that. Because, look at this. Each one of those letters, that's the stitch diagram.
Every block of the letter.
Every block. So
A.
It's 16. Yeah, it's 16 stabs.
So A is 15 of those to do.
Times 16 stabs.
Yeah.
So, but you know what?
They're
effect
beautiful.
is beautiful.
Beautiful.
The effect,
Did the original have those?
yes.
Do you know?
They're just so shiny because it's silk. And these are thread gatherer silks, and I'm obsessed. I have already checked them out on Etsy. And I talked about this on one of my Flosstubes, and I promised somebody that we were going to do an Instagram live and show them how to do it, or Instagram story. So, I'm just going to try to demonstrate this real quick. Hold that needle. Okay. So, when Robbie taught me this, and it really changed stitching for me. So, you cut the lengths of your thread the length that you want. Mine are about 18 inches. So, these silks already came on here. I just had to snip the ends because they were looped. They were like, I don't know how long. So I just snipped the ends, so each one of them is about 18 inches. You got that needle? And then, all you have to do is, this is really hard to do showing somebody else, is pick up the one thread through your needle, or, separate your needle with that one thread, and then you just pull it right out. So, that
might be hard to understand because you can't really see it all, but
trust us, it works. And we'll try to film a Instagram story on that something, because how I didn't know how to do that, I do not know. So anyway, that's my whip in my Lisa Smith bag, just because the color is perfect. I love everything about it.
Fits all the goodies.
I'm stitching this in hand, except for those crazy eyelets. I am having to stab them because I just couldn't get the tension right doing those in hand, and I have a wee little 4-inch antique hoop for that. So that's my whips. My whip. That's it.
The whip. Okay. Shop stuff is next for cross stitch, and we have more than just cross stitch today. So
we just have what our goings on.
Yeah. If you're, we'll get to it anyway. Let's stay focused, Sarah. I have the attention span of, if you know me, you know that me plus coffee is a lot.
This is my cup of the day, is OCD, obsessive cross-stitch disorder. I got that at Market.
Okay, so, shop stuff. I think, we have more than just this stuff.
Oh, yeah, we got a ton of stuff. But this is some hot commodities that they may be out of stock at other places. We brought back a lot from Market and have had some restock. So we just want to show you what we got.
Yep. Okay, so Blackbird, we have these little Blackbird, what would you call these? Like leaflets?
Leaflets,
almost?
but they're sizable.
Yeah. Is this one? Oh Joyous Day. Mm-hmm. So cute.
This one I love.
My Heart Can Rest. I really love this one too.
Who
were we watching that showed this one?
Laura and Brenda.
Yes. Love that.
Brenda and the cereal starter, my friend Laura.
All joys for thine.
I also love that, and that's not very big. And now I'm kind of into this 40 count situation.
And samplers. You kind of got the sampler.
Yeah, so I'm gonna destash because my tastes have changed.
I love this one because boats, because Navy.
Go Navy.
So I love this. I probably wouldn't stitch this whole thing, but
they got a little
one, and I think it's so pretty. I just love boats. Today I was sitting on the back porch, and Mom walked in, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm shopping for a sailboat online." They're like, obviously,
you
not.
saw our water view, probably. I hope in that frantic. So seeing dolphins is not unusual. We see them every day, every other day,
Yeah.
but it's all extra thrilling when they come up into the shallows.
And they're splashing.
Because they're feeding on mullet, and the shallows, I think it's probably only about it's low tide right I don't know, it's high tide right now, but it's probably only about 18 inches deep out there. Yeah. So they really put on a show.
Little birds.
This is a bat. This is a big project. It don't look big, but she big.
This is a hefty sized little book.
I want to do it though. I'm telling you, I don't know.
The pages aren't the pages aren't super
so satisfying to finish a page.
Yeah.
And I will say that that the sampler I'm working on,
and this is all cross stitch, and I think Smyrna
crosses. It's just making me so happy.
Okay, so those are the blackbird.
Okay, we need to address the elephant in the room.
They smell.
You've heard this. It is fact. They do not smell like my house. They are They're printed. They are not laser printed. They are print processed. So Blackbird put out a statement on the Friends of Blackbird Facebook page. Either Barbara Alma or Barb Ann Alma. I'm not sure who did the post, but basically, in an effort to get these rushed out for market, they didn't get quite the amount of time that they need to let off their print.
I'm so sorry.
To let off their print gases. So they smell like fresh newsprint.
Kind of like if you've ever gotten a brand new textbook.
Yeah.
It's that
That's
like
a great
smells kind of glossy almost, like what you would expect like a glossy page to smell like, but it's
it's
still great quality.
And they will air out. Now,
Yeah.
I will say that if you store them in plastic bins, I just heard the blowholes of the dolphins. If you store them in plastic bins, they're not going to air out as fast as if you set them out. So if you can do, it is what it is, but I'm super appreciative that they came out with so many awesome things at market this year. And if they have a smell of print, I'll take it for the quality. I mean, we all complain about the new Prairie Schoolers, and they're printed on really thin paper, and I would take a smell for quality any day. So they will air out, though.
Okay.
Moving on.
So Blackbird got all them. Stacy Nash Primitives.
So this chart was sold out of market, I think, by Saturday morning, maybe Friday night. And we had a pre-order. Of course, we picked our pre-order up, and we sold all of our excess, and we just got them replenished. So that's the stables at Hollyberry Farm. And, I mean, I'm here for it. Sampler!
Heartstring Samplery is, I think, everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got a reshipment from Beth. Hey, Beth! And this one will take us right into our next topic.
Okay. We're going to start with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Berry Bowl.
So this is a friendship sampler, and the idea is that you stitch you stitch the whole thing, and then you swap halves with your friend and bind it down the middle, seam sew it, whatever you say, whatever the proper term is. You sew it down the middle, and then stitch the over one verse. So Robbie and I are going to stitch this. I've all told her that we're going to do it. I voted for 40 count, but I have an aversion to 36. She has an aversion of 40, so we're settled on 32. And it's going to be really cool to see who does what. I've already got the plans for that.
Okay.
So we have a lot of these in stock now.
Next one, his eye is on the sparrow.
So this is not a new release, but it's new in the book form.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and this feels
beautiful.
It just feels great. It's back. Gorgeous. And seeing this stitched, like, on display.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Beth stitched
Gorgeous.
it 1/2 on 28 count, which you wouldn't believe. I know people have talked about this. You wouldn't believe it unless you saw. Like, seeing is believing. That her stitches are still like puffy and
Coverage is
great, and I don't even like 1/2 on 36. So I can't believe she did it on 28. But her tension, she stitches in hand, and her tension, she's mastered her tension, and it's consistent and it's beautiful, and we love it.
Okay, so last cross stitch thing. Consider the lilies.
It's her follow-up piece to His Eyes on the Sparrow. So you'll see that there's a similar aesthetic. They're similar in size. It'd really be your life's work hanging these next to each other. I can't wait. Yeah. So I am, I've talked before about how I really believe that we're a Christian family, and we really believe that God sends you the people he needs to, when he needs to. Beth has become a wonderful friend to me. And this is going to take us into kind of transitioning out of cross-stitch into books. So if you're not here for that, thank you for watching. But
if you're quarantined and you want to just spend your time with us,
want to watch some Quarantube with us. But this, Sarah has a book that she has to read for her lit class. And I'll let her talk about that, and then I'll make the connection for you.
So, I love reading. I love I'm a nursing major, but I consistently just love taking English classes. So I'm taking one called Culture, Crisis, and Calling right now. And we're just reading books about crisis and what a timely thing that is right now. And the book we're reading right now is the Poisonwood Bible. This has all got stickers up because it's used. But if you've never read the Poisonwood Bible, we're reading it together right now, kind of book club style.
Yeah.
With the two of us.
So Sarah was like, I have to read this book for school, and she pulled it out, and I was like, I have bought that book 3 times. So if you're a bibliophile and you hit up the used bookstores, you've probably done this before. I'm like, I don't have that cover.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's a new trade paper version. So I've bought it 3 times. I've taken my excess copies back to the bookstore because the ones we shop with give you credit for used books. And I just kind of cycle through that, but I had a copy, so I said, let's read it together. So we've been doing it kind of a special way.
So I'll read a chapter, and then she'll read a chapter, and it's split up into the perspective of 4 daughters and a wife of a pastor who is an evangelical Baptist pastor who is on a mission in the Congo.
In the 60s. So they left segregated Georgia to go spread the word of God in the Congo. As you can imagine, this is a culture shock for them.
For the girls, they range in age, I think, 5 to 15, almost 16. Mm-hmm. And it's just their perspectives. The use of language is beautiful. If you are from the South and grew up in the South, a lot of the things they say will sound familiar to you. And if you're not, it's a fun read because you get to read from the perspective of a 5-year-old girl. One of the girls has a disability. You get to read from her perspective. The wife of the pastor, all that's, it's interesting, and it's also extremely thought-provoking. We probably talk about it as long as we read it. If we read for an hour, we talk about it for an hour because there's so much to unpack in every chapter. It's a lot about the human condition, family, and then on top of that, Western versus Eastern culture. And it's just been a great read so far. We're only through...
We've finished Genesis.
Yeah, so it's split up into books. So we did book 1. Book 2 is the Revelation, which we have to start.
Which already I'm like, we're jumping from Genesis to Revelation? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, we're covering some
There's a lot of biblical allusions. Do you want to explain the connection to Consider the Lilies?
Okay, so as we're reading this aloud. And... I think I counted 4 times. So Sarah, like I said, each chapter is probably like 8 pages or something, and she'll read one aloud, and I'll follow along in my copy, and then I'll read the next one aloud, and we go back and forth. And we've been averaging like an hour and a half, and then we talk about it for an hour. So as I'm reading through this, it's just the phrase "consider the lilies" is, I think, 4 times in the first part. So that just put it on my heart. I was like, I'm into samplers. As soon as I finish this one, I'm monogamously committed to, and I will work on my berry bowl. Consider the lilies. of the field, they neither toil nor spin.
And how, like, pointed that is right now.
Right. So, they talk about, I mean, it just kept coming up, and I'm like, okay, and I had highlighted it in the book, and I was like, okay, I hear you. Consider the lilies it is. And at this time, for so many of us right now, it is springtime, and it's this beautiful time, and we're blessed to be together. We're blessed that we're all connected by a Flosstube. I hope everyone is well, but this is just such a springtime. I mean, the colors are so springtime. I'm not a springtime color person, but this is just really, I just feel connected to it. So thank you, Beth. Thank you for that. And if you're a reader, anybody out there, Barbara I thought it was Kingslover this whole time, but it's Kingsolver.
It's Kingsolver.
Kingsolver.
Yeah.
So
I looked up how to pronounce it, but yeah, Poisonwood Bible, great read. Highly, highly recommend it. I have 2 more books if you're a reader. These are both kind of non-traditional
When
books.
she finishes the books, stay here for it, because we're going to talk about our Netflix must-watch list.
Yes. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. So the first one that I read and really enjoyed was Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This one is, I would say it's controversial. It had some controversy surrounding it. It is about racial tensions in America, and it's written from the perspective of a black man writing to his son, and it's basically like an instruction manual for how to be black in America. If you're interested in stuff like that, different perspectives, it's a quick read, it's short, and it reads very personal. I enjoyed reading it, but it has faced some controversy, but that kind of made me want to read it more. I don't know, but form your own opinion about it. I really enjoyed it, and it's a quick read, and it's, like I said, it just feels personal. Another book, very timely when things fall apart, heart advice for difficult times. This is by Pema Chodron. Pema Chodron is Buddhist, but you can read this without being Buddhist or, believing in that kind of spiritual journey for yourself. It's just about taking life one day at a time, pretty much. And she gives advice on how to exist in a crisis. Her personal crisis, she finds out that her husband is cheating on her in the first chapter of the book, and then it's kind of her growing from that, being present, and really not letting it consume her. So if you're interested in something like that, this is another really quick one, short chapters. I will say it does get kind of hard to read when she gets into the, the
theology of Buddhism. If you're not a Buddhist and you don't have you explain it to me that if you don't have like a
foundation,
if you don't have a good knowledge base about Buddhism, it may be a little.
But her advice is really good in this. I liked reading it. I read it outside, like sunbathing type of read. Especially during this time, I think it really helped. And I'm somebody who likes, and you can use this, like she talks about meditating. I use this with prayer. So she talks about how to breathe with meditation, but I would breathe with my prayers. So like breathe in and say something, breathe out and say something else, and it's just very calming. It's a good way to keep your center. So I highly recommend this. Again, if you're looking for a different perspective, awesome. So those 3 books have really been keeping my attention.
One thing I want to say about the Poisonwood Bible is, so I love to cross stitch, as y'all know. And I like to listen to audiobooks and podcasts while I do so, because you can't read and cross-stitch really well. But I will say that something that reading the Poisonwood Bible has made me aware of is that when we listen to an audiobook, the characters have the voice of of whoever's narrating for, let's just say, Audible. So I gravitate towards certain narrators. Richard Armitage, we'll talk about him on our Netflix point. But I love listening to Richard Armitage. He has read Emily Dickinson. He's a ton of love poems. I mean, he's ear candy. I love to listen to Colin Firth. The End of the Affair. I've talked about that before. Ear candy. But the thing that you lose in an audiobook, that what I didn't even think about it until we were reading this together, is you get a biased filter of the character based on the narrator's voice. So if when you read off a paper, and not listen to a narrator. When you read off a paper, the characters take on their own personality with you, at least for me, more than listening to a narrator. So for me, that's been worth putting the stitching down for an hour. Plus, we have the shared experience of reading the same book together. And when all this is over and all this crazy time has passed, we'll have the memory of, like, remember when we would sit and read this book and then we would talk about it for an hour? Yeah. So anyway, I think that there's something for, of course, I love to hold a book way more than I love to hold my Kindle, which, nothing against Kindles, but I love the feel of a book. But there really is something that you lose whenever you listen to somebody else, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's my thought on that.
Especially a book that uses so much language. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, and also, like, we talked about this a little bit today as well. There are books that you read because they're fun. So I like Harlan Coben. I like Anne Rule's true crime books. I know that sounds weird that that's fun, but then there are books that you read that are really works of literature. Mm-hmm. And not taking anything away from those other authors, like a James Patterson whodunit. I'm here for that. Like I said, Harlan Coben. But when you read a piece of literature that every word that you read, you know, it's deliberate. Like, you're very aware when you read the Poisonwood Bible, there's nothing in there by mistake. Kind of like these amazing samplers. There's nothing there that's not symbolic. There's nothing there that doesn't have a connection. And it's really fun to bounce that back and forth and say, well, what did you get about that? Did you catch this? Did you catch that? So that's been really fun for us. So anyway, on to Netflix Corner.
Yes. So shows. You were talking about Harlan Coben, so let's talk about the first show of our binge season was Harlan Coben's The Stranger.
Starring Richard Armitage.
Yes.
So I'm watching this show, and he starts he's British. I'm quite sure that's where he's from. So he starts talking, and I'm like, I know this guy. I don't recognize his face, and then I'm watching, and I'm stitching, so I'm like looking up. Then he was in the first few scenes, and then the credits ran, and it said Richard Armitage, and I was like, how did I not know this guy was an actor? But anyway. Connecting books to Netflix. Here we go.
It's super good. It's a kind of like a mystery thriller miniseries. We enjoyed it. We kept us on the edge of our seat.
Yep. We've enjoyed all the Harlan Cobens on Netflix. Yes. This one was a good one.
It was. Do you want to go into our list?
What our other faves are.
Tiger King.
Do we have to say anything about that?
I mean...
I'm kind of ready to watch it again.
It is, none of these shows, I will say, are for the faint of heart. They're all either heavy or they have adult subject matter. Tiger King.
We forgot one that is family friendly that we'll talk about.
Okay. Tiger King, it's entertaining. It's got everything. Florida, Oklahoma, the best parts of everything.
The worst parts of all of it.
Yeah. I realized too after we watched it that one of the people they go into, Doc Antle, he was the tiger handler in the Britney Spears video with the snake.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of goes into like exotic wildlife.
It's a lot. It's about a lot more than big cats. I think it was kind of, I don't know if I would say like mismarketed, but it's definitely there's different, it's highly dramatic and lots of different, it's weird, okay?
When you
it's
think
weird,
it
but
can't
good.
get any weirder, it takes another turn, but it is so fun to watch. It was a blast.
I think the meme that we saw that sums it up the best.
Oh, was it the Florida one?
Yeah.
It was... Everybody being shocked by Tiger King reminds me not everybody grew up in Florida.
Yeah. So we have family that lives in Highland County, which is where part of this happens at, and we have been to Gatorland
many a time.
So it's pretty fun though. Yeah. But it's not for the faint of heart either. There's language, there's adult content, but we're adults, so it's fun. The one that was family friendly that we're totally into is Frozen 2.
Oh, yeah, we love Frozen 2.
Frozen 2. I reluctantly watched it because
I begged her to.
Cartoon movie. It's 10 times better than the first one. It was really good. Okay,
So
what
good.
else is on my... Okay.
Ozark.
So Sarah didn't watch season 1 and season 2 of Ozark.
And I loved season 3.
She was here for season 3, so we might do a daytime binge of 1 and 2.
Yeah. Just to catch back up. But,
she doesn't... She totally kept up and it was fine, but she doesn't have the backstory on the characters. So if you haven't watched Ozark, start with season 1.
Yeah.
It's just a downward spiral of horrible things.
Drug cartel.
It's fun. It's fun.
Family
Jason
involved.
Directed by Jason Bateman. He's a fantastic actor, and they got all the Emmys that they deserved. It was very good.
So good. The Last Kingdom. I'm obsessed with this show. I don't know what else to say. I absolutely loved this show.
It is the Game of Thrones for Sarah.
It is, but it's not as mythical as Game of Thrones. I described it to Eric as like, it is like history meets Viking tales, and it is the best combination.
There is Viking history, so
there is Viking history too. But there is, I mean,
the characters are dramatized, but there are also characters, real life characters,
and real life battles.
Real
and if you
battles.
like history, I
think Michelle at the Striped Rose. If you haven't watched The Last Kingdom, girl, get it. It is good.
It is so good.
It's on Netflix.
There's Vikings. There's a princess.
Say it again, Sarah. There's
Vikings. I literally, I cannot tell you how much I love the show. I'm counting down 24 days, I think. I think it's 24 days until season 4 comes out. And I'm going to make them watch it, even if it's not their favorite, because
I'm here for it.
I just fell in love with the characters. It's one of those shows that the characters just make it all, they just make you believe every scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I really loved that one. Next show we watched was Wild Wild Country. This is about
we're into we like docuseries. It's a Netflix original docuseries.
Wild Wild Country is about the Rajneesh religion cult.
We're gonna call it a cult.
Yes. And it is about them and their pilgrimage to Oregon, and they're settling in Oregon.
Lots of shout outs to Eugene, Oregon in this.
Yes.
Michelle. Watching.
The Rajneeshi people basically take over this
Antelope, Oregon
city, and as you can imagine, the ranchers that live there kind of kick this back. There's
free love and drugs and craziness, and imagine you live in a town in Oregon with a population of 95 people, and here come 10,000
people from all different walks of life.
People from all different walks of life who are gyrating and tripping on drugs and free loving and communal living,
and also have weapons.
This is the largest. It follows the largest immigration fraud case, is the Rajneesh cult, and the largest mass poisoning. We'll let you figure out who poisons who or where that happens. But it will keep you intrigued.
I will say that they're in both Wild Wild Country and The Tiger King, there is a female antagonist.
Yes.
And
you love to hate them.
You love to hate them, but they infiltrate your brain, and between Carol and Sheila, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And then we watched a movie last night that I think we all really liked it. I don't know if Dan...
he was there for it, 100%.
It's Bloodfather, and it's Mel Gibson. He is...
let me tell y'all something. Mel Gibson is in some good shape for his age. We have seen him at the bottom of the barrel, okay? Sarah's not old enough to remember crazy, drunken Mel Gibson footage on TMZ and on all the news networks. But he got his life together, and he is great in this movie.
So good.
And Sarah's reaction, because she doesn't know that much about Mel Gibson, was, his eyes are so beautiful. And I was like, okay, on our Netflix list, we need to watch
Braveheart.
Yeah. Because that will make you love Mel Gibson all over again.
Mel Gibson's character his name's Link, and he is a ex-convict who's in the right way. He's been out of jail for 2 years. He's on parole. He's doing good. He's in AA. And then his daughter, who's been missing for 2 years, shows up and says, "Hey, Dad, I just murdered somebody on accident. And I need help running from the cartel that he belonged to." And of course, Mel Gibson is like,
let's do this.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an ex-con. I'm ready.
And it is...
But he really doesn't want to be in trouble either.
Yeah.
And he can't get in any trouble because he doesn't want to go back to prison. And it's just...
It's their
a
journey.
lot about their journey together.
Yeah. As father and daughter, he was in jail for 9 years of her 17 years of life, so they don't really know each other, but they kind of bond over this. It has everything for everyone in the family. Mel Gibson. It has action, motorcycle shoot-up scenes, and then a father-daughter relationship. It's got something.
I would say it has like adult themes and some violence, but it's not as bad.
I think language would probably be the only thing, but
yeah. So
our theme song. Shout out to all of the people getting us through this quarantine.
Yes.
Our theme song has been "I Will Survive." We literally hum it all day long.
The Gloria Gaynor version.
We just had to give a little shout out to that because it's been in our heads for like a week now. But
other life happenings that we'll be posting on our Instagram page is we had a gaudy old playhouse for the kids down by the water, and we have Dan has chopped the top of it off. And if you go back a few minutes ago to that like motion sick moment where we showed you the dolphins, you can probably see it, but it is now going to be our vegetable garden, and we are going to treat it like a victory garden. So Sarah's going to paint it and put her touch on it, and we've already got some tomatoes and some peppers, and it's got beautiful full sun, and it'll give us something to tend to outside to take our mind off of the fact that we need to stay on our property as much as we can. We are blessed beyond measure, more than we deserve to have. I mean, you've seen just a snapshot of our backyard, so we could be stuck in a apartment building somewhere with a lot of people who are sick, and we are just blessed. And my heart goes out to the people in New York City and everywhere. I love New York City. It's one of the favorite places I've ever been. And I know that New Yorkers are resilient, and thank you to all the nurses, doctors, scholars, everybody out there who's doing everything thank you to everybody that's keeping this country turning, because the grocery store workers, the post office people, all that
sanitation,
that all just keeps on turning. So while we're home, we know not everybody is, and we're just super, super thankful for that. That I wish everybody could stay home for 30 days and be with their family, but I appreciate everyone that's keeping this country turning. And I was going to say something else about Victory Garden tomato plants. Peppers, I don't know. I'm just so appreciative to everybody, and I hope everybody stays well. I mean, this is a great time for us to reconnect on Flosstube, and as much as we all love to be together for retreats, and hey, I cannot wait for StitchCon, but I can wait if that means that if they have to, I know they're tossing up rescheduling it by a few months or by many months, and whatever makes it safer for more people to be there, I'm down. I'm here for it. We're going to be stitching anyway. I'd love to be sitting and stitching with y'all, but if I can't be, we can connect here and share our progress. And oh, I know what I was going to say. It just came back to me. I'm 150% here for Dr. Deborah Birx's wardrobe.
Oh yeah, we love Dr. Birx.
There is an article in the Washington Post. Washington Post? I'm 99% sure. Could be the New York
Washington Times, maybe?
No, it's the Washington Post, I think. Anyway, you can just Google Dr. Deborah Birx wardrobe, and you'll hit like 3 or 4 articles about it, and it's very interesting. Her wardrobe is very intentional. She is she does not don the traditional masculine power suit. No. Girl wears her
neck scarves,
beautiful brooches, beautiful clothes, and she is the only woman standing on that stage from the COVID task force. Most days, I know there are a few other people on the task force that pop in and out, but most of the time we hear from Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci. We also are so happy that it's not a happy circumstance that we're being introduced to these everyday heroes, but Dr. Anthony Fauci, he's a hero too. They have huge long resumes. You don't need me to tell you all that, but Dr. Birx's wardrobe, every day I'm like, what's she going to bring today? And I know that's so superficial and petty, but it's intentional, and I love that. It's the same way that I love the intentional words in these novels. I love that Dr. Burks has like recognized and addressed the fact that, yeah, she's not wearing the same thing everybody else is, because she's a beacon of comfort, and she represents femininity, and she represents strength in being a woman on that stage with a bunch of power suits.
Yeah.
Here for it.
One thing I will say is that being powerful doesn't equal being masculine, and I think Dr. Burks really embodies that.
Grabs that with both hands.
That's something, I'm in ROTC. I'm constantly, there are 8 other females out of 45 that I spend most of my time with, and I will say that sometimes it's easy to feel like to be respected and to, kind of be treated the same, that you have to be masculine, and Dr. Burks puts an end to that, and I love it. All that to
look
say.
forward to her wardrobe change every...
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we got to watch, we've got to see, we got to hear about how many ventilators and how many masks and all that terrible stuff. And then she just steps out there, and it's like, I just love that it's intentional. I'm here for it. I'm here to support it.
Dr. Burks Fan Club.
Mm-hmm.
We're the founding members.
Yeah, founding members. Actually, I believe she has a Facebook fan club.
I'm sure she does.
And there is an entire Facebook presence dedicated to Dr. Anthony Fauci pastries. People are putting this man's face on donuts, cupcakes, cakes.
Bundt cakes.
And he's not new to... Dr. Burks has been a leading researcher in HIV research since the beginning. And Dr. Fauci has been an epidemiologist since 1984. So I'm happy that they are here, and I'm happy that they're still serving. And I think that they're both great examples of being a servant. And let's find all we can out about this coronavirus and this horrible COVID-19 thing. And I appreciate the information sharing. I don't really know. I don't understand half what they're talking about, but I will wash my hands. I'll stay inside. We will plant a victory garden.
That's how we serve our country right now.
That's right. We will plant a victory garden and
cross stitch, watch Netflix, read books.
Yeah, it's our duty.
We're gonna make it.
We're gonna make it. So we hope y'all are well. Have a great, I'm gonna say week. I don't know. We'll be back when we're back. I guarantee in a week we'll have a list that long again of Netflix shows that we've watched to help you pass the time. So thanks for hanging in, and we love y'all.
Bye.